Welcome everyone. Today we have another new episode and we have a very exclusive episode, and it's based on research, thesis writings, and many important for industrial peoples and for the PhD scholars and the PhD researchers, those who are engaged with academia and for industry. So we're going to get some of the interesting idea and thought from Professor Dr. Valliapan. Raju, I want to invite Professor Dr. Valia. Hello, Professor. How are you?
Hi, Sharaf. Very good. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you. How is everything in Malaysia? What do you think? What you want to share with us? I think already you introduced World Talent Economy Forums. So yes.
Okay. First of all, thanks to World Economic Forum to having me in the show. Thanks a lot. I welcome all the viewers as well. It's an exclusive show about my book. So thanks to Sharaf for taking this effort to make this show and propaganding about the book. So coming to your question about Malaysia, Malaysia is very progressive at this point of time. Of course, the whole world has been closed and been locked up with the pandemic situation. So Malaysia, at least, we are having some kind of business moving on. The government has been very proactive. They have not closed the entire, economy. Even 2 days back, the Prime Minister addressing the nation, he said he doesn't want to, go for a further lockdown. So they are trying to do their best for, making the the economy here very smooth. Not like other, other South Asian countries which are completely in lockdown. So Malaysia is progressive in that terms. But in terms of your global movement and then your revenue and then your incomes for the lower class people, of course, we have been affected. But let's hope for the best. We are looking for 3 months now to get all this situation, get into a very normal situation. So we expect by January, February, things should be normal. I'm neither a doctor, I'm neither, standing like a god to tell you what's the future. But we are hoping for the best. Same like you and your viewers, we're looking for the best to happen in Malaysia. But Malaysia is much better compared to our nearby countries, is what is my humble opinion.
Thank you, Professor. Professor, actually, you do many research, industrial research and academic research, and you run a very interesting research work. And you write a new book. Can you please introduce your book and book's background, and if you want to share your abstract with us?
Sure, I'll do that. So now, just to start with my, to tell about my experience, I've been supervising my students in postgraduate center in Lim Kok Wing University for the past 4 years, and I have been dealing about methodology is one of the main cup of tea is my focus. So I focus more about research methodology. So it was my main idea to promote methodology as a core module for my PhD students, because PhD students, they think it's about the research sitting in library and then going in field, but there is a very important thing called methodology. So this is where I had a thought, why don't we make a proper guidebook or some kind of a system where we can tell to the people what is the right structure and right protocol, because writing a thesis is completely different from writing a book. It has got a lot of differentiation, whereas we do a mistake that we think it is almost similar and then we write. So this is where I thought, why don't we write a book and then make it as a structure? But and one more thing is, I was having my own worry that the Asian context is different from European context. Okay, though academic writing is same, the context is different. We have a different context, what they feel, what they use in Western system. There is one more system what they face in, in American Australia. So there is no any proper as of now as a guidebook. There are many guidebooks. I have got many ancestors. I have got many my predecessors who have written the books about this. I would not say I'm the first person to write this book. This book, my main idea is to make a standardized protocol for writing a thesis. Now, this book, maybe we'll have a quick discussion about in our show now. I have given some parts about how the book, thesis has to be in Australian University. How in Canada, I have taken a structure of University of Calgary. I have taken from their standards and I mentioned over here. So this entire book is about how to write a thesis. It is not about the methodology. So in my preface, I have given a very clear thing that if you want to know about sampling technique, if you want to know about your quanti, quali, or a mixed mode or analysis, don't touch this book. This book is not for methodology. This book is more about thesis writing. But you should understand that methodology is also a part of thesis. So I cannot, it has intersection. I cannot skip it. So this book, basically, it's about how to write your thesis. The book name is called Fundamentals of Thesis, as your promo goes down. Thank you for it. It's a Fundamentals of Thesis, a step-by-step guide for drafting a PhD thesis. So this is a book title, and it covers completely A to Z how to write a thesis. So this idea came to me almost 2-3 years back, but I didn't have a proper time, a full-fledged time. Thanks to the lockdown period we had in Malaysia from the month of March to July. So it is a 4 months effort I tried to record all my earlier classes, my questions from my students, and I drafted down like it's like 300 pages. I wrote the book. Then I had a thought, why don't we just keep on, why are we not just keep on telling about us? Why don't we pick from other universities? So I have taken like 45 universities sample thesis, and I made their perfectly. I made their all the formats, and I was trying to publish in it. So all the book, entire book has got like first like 3 units about writing thesis, and the last units has got appendixes got about other universities. In Malaysia, I put about Sunway University, Lim University, Lincoln University, and then University of Calgary. No way I'm trying to promote the university, but I've taken their format. I have mentioned in the appendix. The main idea is to help students to have a different, who have got different perception about writing a thesis.
Many students, many people from corporate, from academia, they're actually always looking for how they get involved with PhD, how they can learn something, how they can more involved with the research and other things. On the other hand, like industry has different perception. They think that we don't need too much of academia and we need more industrial activities. So what your perception, how do you guide this kind of industrial students, how they can involve with research? And most important thing is that what will be their benefit for their profession, for their careers? And
yeah, firstly, this book is more of academic oriented. Like this book is not a kind of an like a textbook to learn from it about like PhD. It's a guidebook. The reason I've kept the name as a guidebook, the guidebook means it stands clearly, step by step guide has been mentioned, how your chapter 1 should be resuming. So for industrial researchers, it's going to be highly beneficial. Why? Because they might write a book like a fiction book. This is not a fiction book. It's not a non-fiction book. You should understand, people sometimes they classify the textbook as a non-fiction book. I would like to introduce something called it's a guidebook. So do not, like put this book as a non-fiction fiction book. So industrial researchers who have gone through many books would, like they might think, writing a thesis has got some set of standards, but it is beyond the standards. So like, like I have mentioned clearly about 3 sections. Let me tell you about what is in the book now. Since you asked me about industrial researchers, there are 3 sections in the book. The section 1 says about research proposal. How do you draft your research proposal? The second section writes about how do you draft your PhD thesis. The third section says about how do you draft your research paper publication. So these are 3 things what a PhD holder requires to be having in his, like to get a degree conferment, he should have these 3 things: a research proposal, a PhD thesis, and the publication. You can see the thesis behind me. These are theses of my students. So these are the thesis. So like you will be, after 3 years of time, you're supposed to make this thesis. So one university says 80,000 words. Another university says 45,000 words. I can tell you an example. In Malaysia, we got UPM, University Putra Malaysia, which says 45,000 words for writing a thesis, like within 3 years of time, 45,000. Like the university where I'm coming from, Lim University, we say 80,000 words. So now we have different standards in every university. So my second chapter speaks about PhD thesis, how to write chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How is academic writing? How is the citation? We're going to discuss that. Then my chapter 1 will discuss about research proposal. When somebody wants to join PhD program, they should have a research proposal with them. It's called idea paper. If your proposal has not been up to the mark, they will disembark your admission. So that is first chapter. The third chapter is about publication. How do you publish your papers? What is the format required? What is called Scopus Journal? What is called ISI? What is called IEEE? And what is called referencing? How much money you should pay them? Should you pay $50? Because it's a very big mafia industry, right? Like people pay $1,000 for publishing. So we have got no idea what is it. Some students can come and ask me, can I pay $2,000, $2,000 American dollars to get published? So now these are like, they are victims. They become a prey for a very big, commercial industry. So I have given clear idea which in journal you should concentrate, how to check the journal, how is the referencing of a journal. So all these things are my chapter 3. So if you take 1, 2, 3, people read that 3 chapters, they have got at least some knowledge about PhD. I'm not telling this is going to be like your Bible for your PhD, but it's a kind of a guidebook. So like when I say Bible, like you have your university's book. University always gives you a prescribed format, prescribed guidebook for you. Please have that. You can have that along with my book. You can complete your thesis in a proper way within 3 years of time. So now I have to be very much humble in this. When I say this point, you need to have my book for sure. That's why I'm not trying to blow. I'm going to tell you, very important. The book is very important. My book you should have. And also have the research methodology book by other authors. Okay, the book from John Creswell, the book from Hare, the book from Stephen. So all these books are very important. I will tell you the books, maybe by the end of the show, I'll tell you the right books, because the both books are required, methodology book and thesis book. So this both in hand will make the students to complete PhD in a time, in a proper way.
Mhm. Thank you, Professor. Beside that, there is many actually publications and other things. They are facing problems. Even still, when I discuss with my friends and other things, they are facing problems. So, from your point of views, actually, how students get more support from their academic like mentors and other people, how they can help them, how they can guide them, and what should they do. Like even sometimes they start their PhD, but middle of the time they become puzzled and they have many problem
Yeah.
in many
So
ways.
like
Yeah.
publications are very important for, for to confer your PhD thesis. Now thing is, there should be 3 publications minimum to get your PhD degree. Okay. Maybe Sharif, you can take the question by Noor. She has sent a message. You can take note of it. But I'll first answer your question. So publications is, you should have 3 publication is what we prescribe in our university. We should have 2 Scopus publication, 1 ordinary publication. So if your article is in Scopus journal, then you become an expert. You can, it makes like that, your article is visible elsewhere. It can be elsewhere, be visible inside. People can cite. So Scopus are very, like a leading indexing authority. They are not the journal, they're an indexing authority. So if you publish in a journal where your journal is with Scopus, it has a very good value. So we say publish in a Scopus journal, 2 articles, and then 1 article in ordinary journal, maybe like, like impact factor proper journal, or with a proper ISSN you can publish. So you have 3 articles, 3 published, 3 published. Now, each Scopus may charge you. There are some free journals, but maximum Scopus, they will charge you like, $600 to $700 for 1 publication. It's a market value, because there is something called APC, article publishing charge. You can check in the website of Springer. You'll be able to know more about it. Springer.com. If people can go, they can check that. So now the market rate is $550 to $600. But there are some journals who might ask you $1,000, $2,000, depending upon their credibility. We cannot say they are wrong. Okay, that is where students become you asked me a question, right? It's like getting tough. They become puzzled. Yes, of course. The mentors are the person who should guide them. So as a supervisor over the years, I tell my students the right article. When they bring me the article inside, I check the article, I check the journal. If it is genuine, we proceed. If not, they become it's a big scam. So in this book, I have mentioned how do you check your journals, how much you should pay for your journal. So, we cannot serve each and everyone across the whole world, but whoever reads the book, they will have a proper knowledge about publication. That is where I have taken a call. Each and every word what I have mentioned over there, I have told about how much money you can pay, how should you pay, what is accountability, how do you check your credibility of the impact factor of the the portal, what they claim. Some journals might claim we have got 7 impact factor, which might not be genuine. So you cannot just write an email inside. You should check their journal's credibility by citation. So how do you improve your citation? What's the referencing system? So like, of course, students become a very big, they become a victim. So as a mentor, we have more responsibility to guide them in the right way, which I do personally. And I am also sure about my colleagues in my university doing, but some people might overlook it. They might not be much, very much keen. They might overlook it, but of course it can be done. So this book is giving you all the details about entire publication. I've taken more effort. So these 2 things, chapter 2 and 3, I have spent more. I have gone paragraph by paragraph. I have mentioned very clearly how a publication to be done, what to be pre-publication, how to be a post-publication. And post-publication is very important. Once I publish my article, I should celebrate. I should circulate. I should make this article to be reaching everyone. What is the point me having an article simply in the website? It should be cited by many people. So all these things I have mentioned in the book, Sharaf.
Thank you, Professor. I want to go to the audience response. Humaira Tanzila, she said, hello, sir. Hope you are good. Thank you for your time and presence in the session. Hope it's a great discussions. On the other hand, Noor Fazrin, she said, hi, everyone. Discussion is very helpful for us. Sir, is it beneficiary for master's level student involved with journal and publications? Thank you.
Okay, hi, Ms. Noor. Actually, it depends upon the university where you're doing. Master level students might have to publish in certain universities. Not every university requires it. Master level student, you are supposed to do a dissertation. Some project should be submitted, but publication might not be mandatory. But if you're interested, it is well and good. If the more and more you publish, it's going to be healthy for you. For example, if you publish 5 articles, you can find your name in Google Scholar. Even one can, the Google Scholar can put your name inside. So the more and more you have been cited, this is where you become a researcher. So when people ask me, researcher, is it really a breadwinning, sort of an profession? Can I earn money by research? I'm a living witness in front of you. My entire earning, my entire lifestyle is by research. So if somebody tells you research is boring, so don't. I know it's up to you to do a vetting with them, but I'm telling you openly in open media, I'm telling you research is a kind of a very, remunerative, but that is not our goal. Our goal is to submit something useful for society, for the government, for the public. That's what we're trying to submit here. But of course, it is remunerative. So the more and more you publish, you have a very good name in, many research platforms. By conferencing, you'll have a very good kind of an, image and recognition. This is where you can start growing. So depending upon your university, if your university insists you to publish, then please proceed. If not, also, I would say start with one journal or 2 articles in 1 year. You can start with that. Trust me, once you do 1 article publish, you will become addicted. So I was a person who was telling that, what is publication? Who is going to read my article? I can rather write to Star newspaper. I can rather write to the BBC. I can rather write to Times. This is my humble, this was my note. But after I published one, this is where my interest started, growing up. I've got like almost 60 plus publications in Scopus alone. I've got 200 publications in other journals. So I keep on writing articles. So what I do is, if I travel, I find a problem, I write a journal. I write an article. So this is what I'm doing inside. So every time, so at least in a week, I try to produce 2 articles, whatever possible, I keep on writing. So it's like a think tank. I might have my own argument. I might have my own debate. So I keep on writing. I make an article. I put a title. I keep on writing. So at one point of time, it comes to a shape of an article. So once I make an article, I send to the millions of publishers. Who accepts, I proceed with them. But there are certain articles close to my heart. Recently, I wrote an article, I was writing an article about, then it happened like 2 months back, I wrote an article about the effect of virtual presentation and final viva was, in final PhD viva, everybody has to give final viva in PhD, right? So this is now due to the pandemic, it's happening in online. So is it good or bad? Is it effective or not effective? So some university says it's effective. Some people say integrity is not there. So I did a research, how many universities are following online viva? Is it effective or not? So I did a research. I took some 30 sample inside and I published a paper. It is on already it is in Scopus Q1 journal now. So now so I have a big satisfaction of it. Just thinking of a problem, discussing a problem. I wrote an article and it has been there. It is many a citing. Everybody in academic research is citing the paper. They're using this paper because I did a research, just not my opinion. I took many about what is virtual presentation. Is it effective or not? How companies, corporate companies in virtual, like for example, what we are doing now. Initially, we used to meet. We can have a coffee discussion. We used to meet face to face. Now we are coming in online. We're having a discussion. So corporate is already in online. So can PhD Viva be in online? Is it effective or not? So I wrote a paper for 6,000 words. It got published. So every problem I see, I turn as a paper. So if you ask me, is it worth? Is it required? I leave it to my research. I have a research community that only researchers know about it. We have a research community who enjoys those things. They cite from there. So publication are like one you should really start doing. So if I have an advice for Ms. Noor who asked the question, in master's level, please start at least 1 article in 1 year. Then you know the value of it. This will make you as a big researcher in future.
Thank you. There is more response from audience. Hello, sir. Maybe it will be a nice and helpful discussion for those who are going to start their thesis and publication. Thanks. I think audience also enjoying today's sessions. Sir, beside that, you come up with a very interesting thought that whenever you find any problem, you focus on that and you are do some research and you go for publications. So in the COVID period, actually industries and business society, economy, everywhere, healthcare system, everywhere, there are a lot of challenges and problem. So how they define the problem first and what's the benefit when researcher more focus on the problem and they come up with some article and journal publications.
Okay, now thing is, defining a problem is the biggest art. I should understand I'm not a minister. I'm not a prime minister. I'm not a president. I'm not a policy maker here. I'm a person to help the policy makers. So I'm a researcher. That is the first ground level. So I find a problem. I cannot turn it tomorrow in a very big, glory. I cannot do that. So I have to find a problem and then I have to give a proper solution and draw the line. This is what as a researcher I can do. I cannot go one step beyond. So now you ask me a question, how do I define a problem? Of course, whatever we are doing, whatever you are doing, any task, there is a kind of a problem happening with that. Maybe our intellectual is able to solve. That is why it is becoming a system. Whatever system you take, whatever system has been active in the world now, was through a problem. Even if you take Isaac Newton's the law of gravity, okay, it is a problem initially. He had a problem that why is it been falling down. He defined it, and then he found something called gravity. And today, no wonder helicopters and aeroplanes are flying above the sky because of law of gravity. So they were able to solve anti-law of gravity. They're saying there came a person called Max Planck who disargued about, like Isaac Newton, and then he found one more something in quantum physics. So everywhere there is a problem being arrived and a solution being given inside. So I don't find any industry or any task without a problem. Only thing is it is being solved. Let us take about academic situation. How is person coming to university? How are they going to the corporate world? There was a problem that how do I recruit a right person to my company? Why don't I give an education for him? That is how education started, it seems. In the 17th century, there was something university in Italy. I forgot the name, University of Moranto something. The very interesting study, how the university system came into existence, because there was a problem when people want to recruit somebody, there were no knowledge with them. When I want to recruit to my, my rice trading shop, the guy doesn't have any proper knowledge. So why don't I send him to some place to study? So, there is a problem here. So whenever you take, when a system is being there was a problem. I will not say there was a problem. So whatever task we do, so that defining is done by the researcher. This is where the things comes inside. So the example what I told you now, I had a problem to think, hey, is it right or wrong to do Viva online? Because some students said, sir, how do we do Viva and online? No, some students said was very much, pro for it. Pro means they were willing to do Viva and online. I cannot come to Malaysia now. I'm stuck in my country. I'm sitting in Palestine. I'm sitting in, so-and-so country. I cannot come. Can you accept me for online? So they were willing for it. On the other hand, I had my own quality assurance team who said integrity is lost. I said, what integrity? Integrity means people can read the book and then answer. They might not have any kind of an idea, but they might have a scroll in front of them to write the answer. Viva has to be spontaneous. So now there is a gap here. One person says yes, one person says no. So now there is an easy problem. I was able to find. So now what happens is a non-researcher will ignore these things. A person walking in the street, some security guards might ignore these things. They may not have a very clear idea. But me as a researcher, I took a call. Okay, now there is a gap between the student expectation and quality assurance expectation. Quality assurance want quality Viva. Students wants to finish the Viva. So now this made me a very big, a very big problem. I defined it. I understood. I'm not a person to just, focusing on one side. As a researcher, we have to be focusing on both the side. So when I took this call, online Viva effective or not, so I drafted a paper. So defining a problem is not a very big task. Every task you take, there is a problem. You can take it granted from me. If anybody has an argument, I will be more happy to argue on this. Every task, whatever task you take, you want to take a decision, there is a problem there. Only thing is we don't realize the problem. The problem, once you realize, it becomes effective. A researcher can realize it. A researcher is a person who goes, asks many questions. The more and more question you ask, there will be a very good problem coming out of it, and then you can start giving. And I am telling you, don't have two horns in thinking that we have got a PhD, we are doing a researcher. No, we are a researcher. We are not prime ministers. We cannot implement any strategies. We can only submit strategies. Once we submit to the policy makers from United Nations, from World Bank, from IMF, there will be some years listening to your papers. This is why we say publish in a right journal. If you publish in an ordinary journal, it might not be heard. Publishing in a Scopus journal, it might be heard. Somebody might read your article, it might be implemented. That is where you become, a reason for some success in society.
Thank you, sir. Like in World Talent Economy forums, actually, many of the scholars and business persons and the professor from Ivy League, even around the world, hundreds of countries, people, they are joining. One point we are facing from World Talent Economy Forum, like the industrial people, they say that we done a lot of research, but we do not go for enough innovations, product innovations and other things. How do you want to define these things? Like where actually industry should focus? They should focus on more research still in COVID periods, and they should invest on the research, or they should more focus on product innovations and that selling their products and other things. But we come up with a different idea from industrial levels, that they said that research we done many things, but on the other hand we do not have enough innovative products. So how do you want to define this point? Because you are also
I personally deny the point. I personally in fact I don't accept somebody saying, we don't respect of much research. The present legendary in the world, I would say Elon Musk. Elon
Mhm.
Musk is a person legendary in the world. You know about him. So like initially we had Steve Jobs. Okay,
Mhm.
Steve Jobs is a very great person, entirely about the consumer's attention. He got idea about consumer research. He knew what I want. If you take any of the Apple product, it has been well decided. He foresaid that in the year 2020, people might use touchscreen in the year 1999. You should see the
Mhm.
movie about, like Steve Jobs movie. It says about, like in future, people might use touchscreen. He predicted in the year 1999. So he's a legendary.
Mhm.
Steve Jobs is a person legendary. He is a person who did consumer research. He knew
Mhm.
what you and me want. He knew what my grandchildren need. He's such a legendary. Now he is no more. The next person I would say presently in the world is Elon Musk, the founder of SpaceX and Tesla. Now, he is a person who is completely funding on research. All his entire funding, entire is, like development is to research. So, how can someone say that, product innovation is lacking now? Product innovation is absolutely there. A company which doesn't concentrate on product innovation might not be in the market. Let's take, I cannot tell certain company name, but I can tell big companies like what happened to BlackBerry, what happened to Nokia, what happened to Kodak. These are
Mhm.
companies
Mhm.
we are supposed to search in the market. I would not blame only the marketing part of it, but the research has not been there. A Kodak, such a kind of company for photography, is not in the market now. We have only Nikon and we have only Epson, Nikon and Canon. What happened to Kodak? Kodak, I think you should be knowing. We have a real camera now. Kodak disagreed to go for a digital camera.
Mhm.
Digital camera, Kodak wasn't accepting it. Today, everything is digital. We have a phone for 11 megapixel. We're going inside. So a company which is not focusing on a product innovation by research will not stand for long.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes, yes. This is. I think your audience also agree with that. Onika Shams, she says, "Sir, the way you are explaining, it is highly appreciable. Thank you for joining here today."
Thank
So
you. Thank you,
anyway,
Raju.
yes, yes, sir. I want to move forward because you are doing something which is very relevant for the society, especially this COVID periods. So what area, especially after the COVID, even we think that next year maybe many of the developed nations they will get vaccine according to Bill Gates and his foundations. But my question is that I think the major challenges we are facing right now, the economic challenge, this is number one, and number two, like these global warming issues, and these things may come in the futures. So how researcher should focus this kind of economical problems, how they can involve with this kind of research, and they can give a productive solutions or productive outcome from their research. What your advice, because in Asia Pacific there are many developing nations, still they are struggling with COVID issues, and economy is a major challenge. So how a researcher should play a role in this situation?
Actually, no, I'm a wrong person to answer this question. I'm no way I'm ready to, like vaccination. Even I have got no idea about. I'm also looking forward for the best thing to happen because there are multiple views coming from multiple side. We are hearing from people inside. They're having a lot of, vaccination coming inside. So I have got no idea. I only prayed my Almighty that things should be fine after 3 years. But the last thing which you asked me, about the responsibility for the research, it is very high. This is where
Mhm.
we play a very dominant. Even you're a researcher, we play a
Mhm.
dominant role. We cannot just like take the situation as it is. So we have to
Mhm.
find a solution for it. So, but we are more into social sciences, right? Sharif,
Mhm.
we are not into health science. If you're in health science, then I'll be in a more,
Mhm.
convenient part to answer you this question, how the vaccine can help people inside. But I have got no idea. There are many
Mhm.
research going on. Even Oxford University, they have found one medicine, it seems, and it has got failed. Russia, they say they have done inside. So the many, universities are doing, they're working on it. But coming to social research, we are looking at the economic part of it. How do we sustain in this? Not
Mhm.
survive. We are
Mhm.
supposed to sustain in this. So it's a new learning what, like the situation is teaching us how to survive.
Mhm.
Like I was discussing with one of my colleague. So we have also learned how to teach in online. The only
Mhm.
industry which
Mhm.
was not touched for the last 2 years is academic industry. Every
Mhm.
industry has been touched by technology. If you take from if your transportation, we used to have bullock carts, then came motor, then came car, then came flight. There was a transformation. If you take communication, there was a pigeon carrying a letter. Then there was a situation to call you in the mobile, no hand phone, then call mobile phone. So there was a transformation. You take any industry transformation, but the only industry there was no transformation is academic industry. Right from 18th century, from University of the Moranto in Italy and Oxford University until today, 2020, there has to be a lecture and there has to be 30 in the class. It is 1:30. That is what happening. But during this COVID situation, we have also changed that. The
Mhm.
kids are going in online, the higher education going in online. So we are learning something new. It's something very, even we had 100 years back, the same thing happened. Like there was one more pandemic from cholera. But at that time
Mhm.
also, we were not like much, economical change. But right now, this COVID has changed. It has put upside down. Every industry is going, technology is a revolution going on. So as a researcher, we have high, like responsibility to sustain, to find out solution. From my end, in academic, I'm finding solution. I don't know about what you're doing now. I don't know about other researchers. From my end, I'm contributing. I was very particular how to make my people write a best thesis. I have written a book inside. How to make this online Viva is right or wrong, I have to publish inside. So as a researcher, I am concerned about what I can contribute. If this iota of thought comes to many researchers, then we are done with it. And I know personally many people are doing that. Many of my folks in other university whom I'm dealing with, they are doing their best contribution. I cannot completely wash out my hand. I'm not a healthcare researcher. I'm a social science. I'm an anthropological researcher. So from my end, for the economy, what I can do is what I'm doing inside. But there are other researchers doing the same part. But one bottom line, we are having high responsibility. You said the right point. We cannot, we cannot just escape from this moment. We have to contribute something for society or to the government or to the public, which I'm doing personally. And I'm very sure as a researcher, you are doing the same thing, Sharif.
Yes, like recently we're going to discuss with the Dr. Muhammad Yunus, and we also find he as a social scientist, social researcher. He also come up.
He's a Nobel Prize winner as well from Bangladesh.
Yes, and he also discussed on that particular point, and he asking for the global community vaccine for social good. We also support this vaccine for social good issues because for developing nations, if they do not get vaccine as a social goods, then many of the people will die. This is his logic and this is his research. So yes, even I think social scientist context, like we can do that, how vaccine can be social goods and how we can make it more available, like country like Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Indonesia, and this kind of country. There is another question from audience. There is a huge audience response today. Araf Mehraj, he is asking you a question. Hello sir, what are your suggestion topic for the future research?
Okay, thank you, Araf. Thanks for the good question. Like if you want to be in future, active in research, for my opinion, from my idea, after visiting many places in many universities, I would say automation is the most important thing. Anything in artificial intelligence, anything in machine learning, anything in IoT is something really like welcoming from the industry. If you're doing anything about the consumer research, not that welcome at this point of time. If you want to know about the consumer's behavioral pattern, it has been many have been there, you'll become obsolete. But if you're doing something on artificial intelligence, automation, and then IoT, machine learning, deep learning, big data analysis, these are like, like researchers where the industry wants a lot. If you publish a paper in AI about, like writing, making how AI can, improve your organization productivity, these are very well, highly welcome. So I think you can start looking into that. And there is no any as such, like only you should do this kind of research. I'm advising you. I cannot control you, right? I cannot influence you, but I'm advising you. Any research on artificial intelligence has got more value. Anything has got IoT has got more value. Anything on like machine learning, other things has got technological revolution is very important because automation is future. You should read the book by Stephen Hawking. What he says is future is automation. So don't waste time thinking that, automation can lose job. Can automation be helpful? Don't waste time. He says very clearly, the legend of our century is Stephen Hawking. He is no more now. His last book, he says very clearly about automation. So I think, and moreover, I'm seeing the industry, what they welcome. Like Tesla is one of the game changer of us. He's been producing a car which can drive, like autopilot car, autopilot mode, and completely is taking the US market, Canada market has been taken on. So I think future is all about automation. If any research, if you want to concentrate, go in technology. Technology is most highly welcoming in every part of the corporate sector and the industrial sector.
Thank you, Professor. Actually, World Talent Economy Forums, we are also more focusing on science, engineering, and technology. So as much as possible, we are interact with the Silicon Valley, even Cyber Jazz, and the global communities. And there are actually many big corporations also joining with us, and they're sharing their views, sharing their opportunities, how actually youth community getting more jobs, how actually we can do more research and other things. But beside that, like Malaysia in the COVID period, they are also controlling the COVID first wave very well. And second things that what you are coming with this idea that, okay, in terms of economical activities, Malaysia also trying the level best to overcome from these economic situations and other things. But Employment is a major issue. Even Malaysian government, what we know, that they are also investing on their local community to develop their skills and integrated with the global community. But what about, because World Talent Economy forums, actually we are very diversified with the global community. We have we are making connection as much as possible. What your opinion as a researchers? What industry should support for the youth community, even for the researchers, how they can involve with this Asia Pacific market? What your idea, what your opinions, or what your advice in that particular point?
See, there is no any particular that this industry should support the youth. Every industry is welcoming youth and researchers to be taking part of it. I can tell you technology is one welcoming. And then there is one more thing about your agriculture industry is also very much highly welcoming. So I think all the industries are open to have new researchers. There is no any particular industry, they accept, they deny. I don't think so any industry like that. Because I might be a person speaking more about my social sciences, but there are other researchers speaking about healthcare industry. Others speaking about financial researchers, equity market and share market and stock market. They're going to speak about that. So every industry is open to have a lot of kind of researchers welcoming inside. But if you ask me, highly like researchers are presently there in healthcare is what is my final opinion. Healthcare has got high researchers, because like all our the new developments in terms of pharma, in terms of our hospital equipments are done by these people. So the companies, we have many R&D labs in all the pharma companies. They're doing a big research. They might not be a PhD holder. That is an interesting point there. They are not a PhD holder. When I came to like one of the statistics, I went for statistics. I saw that all these researchers in pharma companies, they don't hold a great PhD from a great university, or they don't even hold a PhD. They are just a researcher in a master's level. So they have a master's level and then they go for research. So one of the questions people asked, right? Can I do research in master's level? Of course, you are welcoming in many of many of these companies are going to welcome you. So need not really go for a PhD. Why we are saying PhD is if you want to be like a recognized person for this particular solution, this particular research, then take a PhD. That can give you a very big value and recognition. If not, every company, many industry, like all these companies in pharma industry, they don't hire, like they don't really put a specification to should be a PhD holder in health research. As long as you have a research, you have a publication, they invite you inside to work in the organization. So every industry, of course, they need young researchers. That's a bottom line.
Yes, beside that, because as we are working with the different researchers in different university, there is a lackings. They are come up with these things that academic research is not too much of helpful for the industrial things, or how actually we make it more effective. Let's say University of Malaya professor, when they join with World Talent Economy Forum, they come up with the idea that only 19% of our research we can convert or integrated with the market and the industrial things. So how we can make it more effective? Your
You're
book
right.
can help us.
Yeah, I'll tell you this one. You're right. Actually, the professor who said 19%, absolutely I accept. On 19% of the research has been used in industry. Remaining 79% is not been touched. I completely agree on this point. Like it has not been, used much there. This is where the role of university comes inside. So it's nothing to do with the researcher. Researcher, we are supposed to submit a research, but university has to have a more kind of an effort to publicize the research. I know some universities, they get many articles, they get many theses, it is in their library. It has not been sent to the market. What is the point being shelving our thesis in a library? So I can shelve in my house. It's okay in my house. It's fine. I can shelve here. But in a university should publicize it. That's why I say university should go for a very bigger call to like publish their thesis as a book and then send to the market. So of course university has got more responsibility. Academic research is you said a point that academic research doesn't have a very big like value for it. I disagree the point. It has got a very high value, a significant value equivalent to our industrial research, but there are some disadvantages. The problem is academic research, you are the only one person. You have limited budget. You have got a timeline. So all are very limited. One manpower, limited budget, and then like certain amount of year, you finish the research. You have no empowerment. You cannot change the topic as you wish. Once it has been taken, it has to be followed inside. These are the cons of academic research. But industrial research, you're fully empowered. They are fully sponsoring you. You're working organization. You have got a very big team. You got 20 people to assist you. You got 15 researchers to do the market research. You have got one data analyst, and then you got one writer for you. You have a very big team. But academic researcher, everything is only one person. You as a person should do writing, you should do research, you should do your budgeting, everything done by you. So this is the cons of academic research, but outcome in no way you can compromise equivalent to an industrial researcher. I have seen many good academic research equivalent better than like industrial research. So there is no any kind of like discrimination in that. But universities take a very bigger role. Universities play a very larger role to do that. In my book, I have mentioned that point because I should think like, who am I first of all? Am I a university service provider? No, I'm a lecturer. So as a in my capacity, I cannot instruct universities, but I have given some like a comparison. A university which is making the research reach to public sustains for a long time. Take for example Harvard University. Harvard University, Stanford University. Why they become Harvard, you all should know. It is not just because they are in America. It is not just because they're having a very different teaching pedagogy. It's always ABCD, ABCD. There's no any big difference. But the outcome is fantastic. What they do is their research will be known to the policymakers. So what happened at one point of time, the value impact out of every research is very huge. So when I do my research in Harvard, I'm very sure it is going to be known to the much public. It's well assured. This is the difference of Harvard becoming in Harvard. So now university should take a larger role. I have mentioned in the book my comparative study about how university can publicize all these researchers. So in no way academic research will be a failure. It will be a successful one. But the point is university has got like more dedication, more responsibility to publicize it.
Thank you, Professor. I want to take another question from audience. Abiyaz Mustain. His question is that in COVID situation, what are the problem and the thesis proposed in the field of economic globalizations? I think he want to know what should be the point
proposed. Okay, like of course, economic problem is everything there. Abash, many problems in economic situation in terms of employability. It has been there. The country revenue has been lacking inside. There is lack of tourism in every country now. So there are many globalization points to be discussed. So if you are a researcher, if you want to do any research, I can tell you many points like this. I just gave you like 3 points in spontaneous now. But if you have a brainstorming session, there are many points. Probably you can have, we can have one-to-one meeting to discuss about these things or a virtual meeting to discuss about these things. But, like all these points are discussed in large. You should understand that you will not be the first one. I have got like almost 8 theses in my hand who are working on tourism problem. Okay, already tourism has been dying, so they're working on it. So every research, whatever you're going to do, will be only a chain. It'll be only a part of it. You cannot do a standard. You cannot do a completely unique research. You have to really work on what is the economic situation now in your country, how it has been, affected by the COVID situation. If you can read more articles, you'll be able to find out there. Then you can decide about the thesis. So my advice to the future researchers is, or the aspiring researcher, do not jump to thesis immediately. First of all, make your problem solid. If there is no problem statement, then we cannot do a research. If there is no problem, then you have a very bigger problem is what I would say. Okay, so please make your problem very strong. So now you asked a question about economic globalization. There are many things in economic globalization. It's a very big umbrella. So you should really understand that what is the real thing which you're supposed to touch upon. Are you looking to touch upon the employability? Then see how is your country affected, how many job losses during the COVID situation. If you want to touch about the revenue of your government, see how the tax loss has been happening in your country. Because of the COVID last 6 months, the government has lost many tax income by giving a lot of stimulus packages. If you're looking about, the new investments, see the point, how much your government has invested, how is your construction market, real estate, how is going on. So you can find out the right problem. Problem should be like only one strong line. From that, you can develop a problem statement. From problem statement, you develop an entire research questions, objectives, then you develop your entire thesis. It's the biggest art. You cannot write a thesis overnight. It is not possible in 1 month. It's a gradual improvement. So in my book, I have told how do you start a chapter 1, because if we have a classification, chapter 1 should be only background. Chapter 2 should be about literature review. Chapter 3 should be about methodology. 4 should be about analysis. 5 should be about discussion. So we have got a very clear classification, how your 5 chapters should be placed. And why 5 chapters? Why can't be 8 chapters? Why we have followed 5 in social science? I've given explanation about these things inside. So once you get the book in your hand, you will have a lot of idea. And because this book I have not written like very like academic language. It is easy to understand even to a common person who have got no knowledge about research. This is where, because I always put myself as a like a dumb person to understand. If you say something to me, I take a lot of time to understand. I'm not a fast catcher. I'm a fast learner. but my IQ is always, like I have to really understand many things 10 times to really. So I see myself as a very mediocre, very average person to catch something. So in my capacity, if I have to understand something, how? So in that context, I've written the book. So any person who have got, a basic knowledge or a proficient knowledge, this book is going to be a very big handbook for them, because that is how my English has been written inside. English is not academic, it's a very colloquial English. I have used many words like you, I, our, we. I have completely broken the academic system. I have come very colloquial language. So once you get a copy of us, you will be able to learn a lot from it.
uh, Thank you, Professor. I just want to move in the some other sectors, because in COVID period, actually, online education. Even you are start to discussing about the online educations and what the benefit and other things about online educations. What will be futures? Even beside that, from Silicon Valley, we are finding that virtual reality, augmented reality, these are the things may be included in the education systems. Even Indian Institute of Technology, they are also introducing these things with World Talent Economy forums. What your idea of, and what your thought about the future of education? Because many of the company, many of the researchers, they are come up with the new things and innovation in the educations in this COVID periods. Yes, what do you want to share with us?
No, in my capacity, I think the future is very bright. It's been very prospective because we are able to sustain even now. Simple answer. I have, if you ask me how do I say bright, because even now we are able to sustain. Even now we are able to survive. We are still continuing education. We have not closed education. The toughest time, the trying times is now. It's the most 2020 is the most toughest time in every industry. Even during this time, we are able to survive. We are trying to transform something. In fact, some people have an argument. It is much better. Okay, if you ask me personally, I would say, like, if I'm teaching in online for my PhD, teaching online for my master's, and my children are undergoing teaching online for their schools. If I take these three things, they are having a very tough time. The school children are having a primary, secondary education, tough time because they're not able to grasp the thing. It's a complete failure in education online system. But if you take me as a teacher for PhD, when I'm lecturing on my thing, I have got a 100% response rate. People who come to online, they are much enjoying because they're not able to come directly in my physical space to my university. Wherever they are there, they're learning. So the time has been completed. The geography is completely been wiped off. Wherever they are understanding, sitting in their country, sitting in their house, sitting whatever time it is, they are learning, they're enjoying the speech. Number one. And then whatever they want to share, they're sharing by sharing the screen. Sharing presentation was not possible before. So I have to sit in there and mark the point. Now it's very easy in online. So for a PhD, successful. For a school education, might not be a great thing. Okay, but even during now, we are trying to sustain. So I think future is very much better. I don't find anything, because if you tell me that during 2020 we have failed in education, then it's a very big thing. But it is not like that. 30-40% sector has got failed. I do agree. But 70% majority, they're sustaining. Still, I'm able to have my salary. Still, I'm able to have my income has been there. Still, I'm doing my research. So even during this time, if we are sustaining, if we are surviving, then future, of course, we can handle anything. No. So there is from that argument, I'm saying this point. If you ask me one more question, like what is your guarantee for it? I have got no answer. I've got no answer for it. But I'm telling you, even now we are surviving. So future, I think we cannot find anything worse than this. So future, we should be able to survive, I think, much better, Sharaf.
Thank you. Professor, there is another question from our audience. Hosna Rafedo, she asked you a question. Hello, sir. Do you think in current situation, e-learning is the major barrier issue for thesis?
See, e-learning is like, thank you, Faizaz. Thank you for asking this question, Faizaz. E-learning is one part of technological development in education. Okay, coming on thesis, there are many like Khan Academy, and then like Biju software. There are many kind of like online platform portal. They are telling about thesis. It is going to be a very big help supplement for you. If you want to learn anything about thesis, of course, Khan Academy has got entire thesis documentation. You can watch the videos. There are many videos in YouTube. You can learn that. It's a very big supplement. But if you have somebody to be in online to teach you in like face to face, it is much more helpful than e-learning. So e-learning is just only one part of technological. It is not AI. It is not intelligent. It is not an intelligent way of teaching inside. But what I'm saying is, if you have something called a chatbot is like a robot, right? A robot, you know what is a robot? The robot is something which can speak to you, which can understand you. Now, there is something called chatbot. Chatbot is something which can recognize your facial recognition, and then it can reply your questions, whatever you ask. If that is coming, it is much more helpful. That can really speak volume. So e-learning presently, we have got YouTube videos. From there you can learn. So it is doing its best. I would not say it is doing less. It is doing its best. But if there is something called AI in education, it is much more helpful.
Mhm. Yes, Professor, as you are a researcher and you has a more analytical skill than other people, that you can identify the problems and solutions. So also you have integration with AI and other things. At present industry, what type of job we may lose in the future, that these jobs there is a less opportunity? On the other hand, what type of skills and what type of job actually increase next 2-3 years? Uh, what your opinion?
Okay,
Yeah.
I will answer the first question. Like second question, what you asked me, that is, what is a future job demand? I will tell that before I tell about the job loss. Job loss, nobody can say that. Nobody can, even if somebody tells you it's they're doing, and they're just trying to gamble it. But the second question you asked me is, what is a future job demand? The job demand will be more in automation. You can take it for granted. So anybody who are into an automation industry, they will be a very good in demand, because future is automation. Everybody is going automation. Japan is completely transformed automation. Already they're in automation. Now the situation is forcing them to be in automation. So anything in technological updation, or like biotechnology, or even if you take any industry, that industry needs technological adaptation. There were some people who are telling to me like 10 years back, IT industry will fail. Don't learn software engineering. Don't learn anything about hardware in IT. No, the things have changed now. If you see in COVID situation, the only industry surviving and sustaining beautifully is IT industry. I went to one of the market here for buying some of my accessories here. They're like huge. They're like completely they're like worrying there's a huge demand but lack of supply. Whereas other industries, like, there is no demand but supply is huge. You take the flower market, there is a huge supply, but there's no demand. Nobody wants to go out restaurant, nobody wants to go out, nobody wants to go to movie now. There is no demand. But you take IT industry, technology is happening. There is shortage of webcams, shortage of your PCs, shortage of your software engineers, shortage of your e-commerce platforms. So if you are in technology, if you are in anything in technology, if you're around technology, then next 2 decades you are there for sure. When I say 2 decades, next 20 years you will be active. But after that, we don't know what's going to happen. There might be one more better than technology, something might come out. Because initially we had construction industry happening. Take Singapore, take any other country like China, skyscrapers, construction was huge. Then was oil and gas industry. Oil and gas has still been active inside, but oil market is now coming down. It might come down. After battery cars, oil might come down. We don't know. Within 10 years of time, I have a very strong prediction, oil and gas industry will be touching the floor, because we'll be having very tough time in oil and market. So Middle East, we don't know what they're going to do. Because one car company said battery car. He said battery car. So he has bought already battery car. Electronic car has come inside. So oil and gas is required majorly for transportation. Maybe we have other energy sector to be used oil and gas, but oil and gas more for your transportation. So transportation is now changing into battery system. So we might have solar coming inside. We might require more of your energy. Oil and gas might come down. Then came, tourism. Tourism is a happening industry. Any country touching tourism, success for Thailand. Tourism was very peak and country changed. They have a very good kind of, visitors. The country economy improved. But right now, all these things has been set back. Technology is surviving. So at least for next 2 decades, anybody in technology can have a very bright future.
Yes, definitely. Even World Talent Economy Forum, actually, we are heavily engaged with technology and we have our teams. So we also focus on, especially on the youth community, how the actually youth community grow their technical skills and other things. And we also helping different developing nations as well. Besides that, like as you have a futuristic idea and futuristic thoughts. So what do you think? This COVID situation actually, it's a problem or it's an opportunity for us?
No, it has given an opportunity for us. We have learned a lot. That's why we have many things which we thought cannot happen is been happening now. So it's an opportunity to learn. Always, these kind of tough times give us various, new deals to be learning about. I always say, all innovation is by necessity. Necessity is mother of all innovation. So we have in a situation where we need to survive and sustain. So COVID has been a big opportunity for us. But of course, we are people who are facing now a tough time. So it's a problem, but in a way, it is giving a lot of learning, new developments happening inside. So I don't, like I know, let us not waste time on thinking about COVID's negativity. I think it's gonna go now. It's gonna really wipe off in the market. So whatever COVID has done for us, thank you for it. As long as hereafter there is no any health casualty, we are happy with it. Okay, we are fine with it. Like economy is coming down, still fine. We'll be able to come back. We can bounce back very effectively. Once the market has been open, there'll be a very good boom is going to happen inside. So apart from the health loss, everything is favoring in COVID is what I should say, because we have learned something in economy, how to survive. We have learned new strategies. We have got new technological revolution during the situation. Last 6 months, nobody expected to happen. Nobody even predicted this to happen inside. We have been advised, don't go out. In the house, we are doing many things productivity. Like even I was sharing with you one of the things, I think I knew one of the person in Malaysia who sold face masks during the month of March, April, May, and he made like 600,000 money. I mean, 600,000. I was thinking, why am I doing lecturing? I could better go do the job. He made 600,000 by selling masks during March, April, May. It's a fact I'm telling to you. So now, for him, it's a big boon. For him, if I go and ask him, how was COVID? He will say it's a problem. He'd say it's an opportunity. So like, COVID is basically, it has given a lot of things. So it's an opportunity is what I would consider.
Thank you. Professor, I want to take a last question from audience. Araf Mehraz, his question is that, hello, sir. Would you tell us what is the mixed method research design?
Wow, thank you, Araf. You want to go methodology now at last 5 minutes. Okay, mixed method, I will tell you in one line. Araf, mixed method is a combination of your survey and observation. Like, in research, we have got two important things called quanti and quali. Okay, I do a quantitative research, I do a qualitative research, right? Quantitative research means I should take a questionnaire, I should go to the public, I should fill the questionnaire. I mean, my respondent will fill the questionnaire. Qualitative means I go for observation. I ask you some interview questions. I ask you a question, you answer me. So mixed method is a situation where we do both quanti and quali. It is much encouraged. If you're asking me, do you prefer? I would say yes, mixed method is the right research for the 21st century. So because we were doing initially quali and then one word quanti. Quali came in the first research, then came quantitative. It's a statistical measure. But today, we require both psychological aspiration, we require statistical aspiration. Both has to be combined. So I would flag for mixed method research. It's the best method research. And John Creswell, who's a research guru, always says about mixed method. So many are saying mixed method. So I think if you're doing a research in future, please go for a mixed method. It is going to be very much helpful because you have an statistical proof, also observational proof. So Araf, please try mixed method hereafter. And in my book, it's a very clear introduction I have given. In my book, I have told very clearly that I'm not trying to propaganda mixed method, but mixed method, if you do, it's very healthy for you. It's much better is what I have mentioned in my book. You can check the book, you can check all these things in chapter 2.
Thank you, Professor. Basically, from World Talent Economy Forums with Asia Research and Development Institute, Al Noor Academy, Sarhadia Barad, we are working together. We are working as a think tank, and we want to bring the brilliant people from around the world, and we want to get the ideas, and we want to execute it in the Asia Pacific and the South Asian market. So, any of your good idea, any of your good thoughts, which is actually create a very good values for our global community, we always welcome you, and especially in the future we're going to invite you more on our policy discussions.
Actually, Sharaf, sorry for interrupting you. I really appreciate your effort what you're doing in World Talent Economic Forum. I really appreciate it because I'm watching all your videos for the past like 6 months. I'm watching. You're doing a great job. You're building some questions, you've got a good audience, and then you're inviting right people. And the way you put across during COVID, I think you are a big researcher man already, because like need not wait for the degree to come to your hand. Already you're doing a lot of research, you're meeting many people inside, you're discussing. This is a good thought of a researcher. So already you're a very good researcher, and I appreciate your team. And I'm so honored to be there to showcase my book and my discuss, and many good questions from people like Araf asking. Yes. So thanks a lot for your entire effort and good work done by you people.
Yes, thank you, sir. Actually, as much as possible, we try to engage with knowledge economy. We want to engage with the knowledge worker. We try to learn. We always believe in half cup empty, half cup full. So always we are very much open for learning. So we believe that as much as we can connect with the right people, we can learn. So you are one of our professor. We get a lot of support, motivations from you, and hopefully in the future we're gonna solve together many issues from the Asia Pacific and the South Asia community. Thank you, sir, for your valuable time. Last things, I think the audience actually today has a very good response from audience. They really want to get some of your advice, for the youth community, as well as what will be your concluding remarks for today.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for all the viewers who have been watching this video, and thanks to World Talent Economic Forum for taking this show in a very great way. So my advice is, first advice, please buy my book. Okay, that's my first advice. My book is going to be online in Amazon very shortly. By Tuesday, Wednesday, it's going to be there. I think World Talent Economy will send a link in the Facebook. Please try to do that. So it's just there will be less than like 50 ringgits, like less than $10 book. So please make sure you have the book. You can also download in Kindle version. In the book, I have given clearly advice about how to write your thesis and how to do a research. And my advice to the future researchers, please start doing research. Do not get stagnated. Do not think that research is only for remuneration. Research is more of responsibility. We have got high responsibility if you're researchers. So already people are you are doing some research, appreciating to you. But start producing more publication, more articles in the right journal, so that you are being visible, you are recognized. So any support in this thing, you can take me as a person. Always you can knock me out. My contact numbers, details are with Sharif. You can deal with him, and then you can probably reach out to me. So I really appreciate. I welcome all kind of anything in research. Of course, I'll be a role. I like to play a role in your institution, Sharif.
Yes, sir. Basically, sir, for your these things, we are also working for the scientific journal, scientific magazine, even with different global think tank. We are working. So as we also want to invite you in our editorial panel for our publications. Actually, many scholars from around the world, they are submitting their write-up. So January we're gonna publish our paper. So thank you, Professor, for your valuable time. Hopefully for our policy discussion in the future, we're going to invite you. Thank you for your time and effort.
It's my pleasure, and thanks to all the viewers. Thank you. Thank you, Sharif.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you.